Here are the highlights of this week's news on Japan Today. I'm Nathan, and if you're thinking about emigrating, you should know that the number of foreign nationals living in Japan hit a record high of over 3.4 million in 2023, with employment-related visas seeing significant growth. As of the end of December, nearly 3.5 million foreigners resided in Japan, up 10.9% from the previous year, according to the Immigration Services Agency. The number of specified skilled workers jumped up 59.2% to around 208,000. This visa, which allows the holder to immediately take on jobs in designated industries without the need for training, was introduced in 2019 in response to Japan's severe labor shortage. Meanwhile, permanent residents, who made up the largest group by residential status, stood at around 891,000, up 3.2%. Engineers, specialists in humanities and international services, including foreign language teachers and myself, rose 16.2% to around 362,000. By nationality, Chinese accounted for the largest population of foreign residents at around 821,000, followed by Vietnamese at 565,000 and South Koreans at 410,000. The number of people getting high in Japan is getting, that's right, higher. Almost 6,500 people were investigated in criminal cases involving cannabis in Japan last year, up around 1,000 from the previous year, according to the National Police Agency. People in their teens and 20s accounted for almost 75% of the total cases. Among them, around 3,500 people were in their 20s, and then about 1,200 were below the age of 20, according to the data. We have a quote that says, "The widespread use of smartphones has led to greater exposure to incorrect information about marijuana, potentially reducing the psychological barriers to its use," an agency official said. Yes, you're thinking what I'm thinking. TikTok created marijuana, obviously. Among notable cases involving Mary Jane since July last year, 4 members belonging to the boxing team of the Tokyo University of Agriculture and 3 members of the American football team at Nihon University were arrested. Leave it to the Americans, huh? In December, Japan's parliament passed a bill to prohibit the use of marijuana amid growing concerns that the lack of a ban on using the substance is promoting drug abuse among young people. But hey, if Japan wants to reinvigorate the economy, they could always try legalizing and taxing the green stuff. Where do you invest all your billions of yen? For me, it's Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I digress. I'm not prying, just curious. Because according to Bank of Japan data, Japanese households had a record 2,141 trillion yen in assets at the end of 2023, after rising share prices boosted the value of stock and investment trust holdings. The government has been seeking to encourage households to put more cash into stocks and bonds, and the NISA tax-free investment system, which started in January. Cash holdings are estimated to be about 1,127 trillion, that's right, trillion, not billion, yen in Japanese households. So if you're putting your billions of yen, which obviously you have, into your futon, could be the good time to start investing it. Baseball star Shohei Ohtani is referred to in Japan as Kanpeki na hito, a perfect person, because of his manners and impeccable behavior. That image has taken a hit after the bombshell news broke last week that the LA Dodgers had fired his good friend and interpreter Ippei Mizuhara over allegations he gambled illegally and stole Ohtani's money to pay off debts. Ohtani gave his side of the story for the first time at a news conference in LA on Monday, saying he never bet on sports or knowingly paid any gambling debts accumulated by Mizuhara. He also said Mizuhara lied to him for years and stole millions from his bank account. But he didn't say how Mizuhara was able to gain access to his account. Weird. Mizuhara was fired by the Dodgers following reports from the Los Angeles Times and ESPN about his alleged ties to an illegal bookmaker and debts well over $1 million. IRS has confirmed that Mizuhara and the alleged illegal bookmaker are under criminal investigation. Here's where it gets interesting. Mizuhara told ESPN on March 19th that Ohtani paid his gambling debts, saying the bets were on international soccer, the NBA, the NFL, and college football. MLB rules prohibit players and team employees from betting on baseball. Mizuhara then changed his story the following day, claiming Ohtani had no knowledge of the gambling debts and had not transferred any money to bookmakers. Ohtani told reporters he didn't know Mizuhara had a gambling addiction and was in debt. And he said he never agreed to pay for the debt or make payments to the bookmaker. You see them zooming about the streets of Tokyo every day. Tourists in costumes, driving go-karts. But not everyone is happy about it. According to the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, there were more than 100 complaints against go-karts on public roads in 2023, mostly about noise and traffic violations. There were 12 accidents involving rear-end collisions and 10 other violations, including parking fines. In February, the police department handed out written requests to go-kart operators asking them to strengthen safety measures. One problem is that most go-kart drivers are foreign tourists from Europe or North America who are not only unfamiliar with Japanese roads and traffic signs, but are used to driving on the other side of the road, except for the English. This can lead to a host of problems for both go-kart driver and the people around them, as evidenced by 2 incidents that occurred in 2018. One where a driver was involved in a hit-and-run collision in Akihabara, and another mounted the pavement and crashed into a shop wall. With more than a dozen go-kart businesses in Tokyo, the market size is estimated to be worth 2 to 3 billion yen, so they won't be disappearing from roads anytime soon. Some major Japanese companies have handed their employees big pay raises this year, but the trucking industry is getting squeezed. Ikuko Sakata, who runs a trucking company with about 80 employees, pays her drivers a minimum wage of about 280,000 yen a month, and that's not counting overtime. But a law taking effect next month limits overtime to improve truckers' notoriously grueling hours. But company owners like Sakata fear that will drive away workers who have long relied on the extra hours to make a living, which will worsen the already existing staff crunch. Small truck company owners say they can't afford the pay raises that big Japanese manufacturers are giving, and that unfortunately they will have to pass on rising costs to their customers in order to be able to pay their drivers more. And they say this could mean losing business. And if the truck can't go to 7-Eleven, how will you get your pudding? And now it's time for the weird and wonderful news brought to you by Gaijin Pot's Insta Reel Collab Contest. If you know a creative someone that wants to be Insta famous, let them know that Gaijin Pot's promoting channels right now during the Hanami season to help boost your street cred. And all they have to do is make an Instagram reel. Links in the description for rules and instructions. Check it out.
Japan has many tourist attractions, some weird, some wonderful. Tokyo has a new one to add to the list: public toilets. Shibuya Ward has started tours to dispel the perception of the facilities as being dirty and stanky, giving visitors from home and abroad a unique lens with which to view the city. A whole, get it, of 17 public toilets have been redesigned by notable architects under the Tokyo Toilet Project, turning them into more fashionable structures. Yumiko Nishi, PR manager of the Ward's Tourism Association, says interest from overseas visitors has been trickling in. The tours, for tourists, are conducted primarily in Japanese. The project has been promoted in English language pamphlets and websites. The architects involved in the project include Kengo Kuma, known for the national stadium used for the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, another hole, where all our tax money went, and Toyo Ito, a Pritzker Architecture Prize winner. Go me! Interest has been heightened by this year's Oscar-nominated film, Perfect Days, which follows the life of a public toilet cleaner in Tokyo. The toilets are cleaned 3 times a day and undergo regular inspections. Okay, so once upon a time, like the seasoning, there was a plastic statue of KFC's founder, Colonel Sanders. And this was the lucky charm for them baseball believers. In 1985, some Osaka Hanshin Tiger fans threw this statue into the Dotonbori River, along with themselves, after the Osaka Hanshin won the Japan series. After that though, the Tigers didn't do so well in their games, and people started being like, what if it was cause of the statue? This is the curse of the Colonel, and we can only win after we get it back. So, in 2009, they brought back the statue from the depths of the river. They cleaned up crusty Colonel, blessed him by a priest, and put him back for the world to see. The effects of the curse took a hot minute to wear off, but finally, last year. The Tigers won the Japan series again after a 38-year-old slump. Naturally, people celebrated by jumping into the river. KFC said the statue was now too busted to maintain and they would throw it away. They held a ritual at a shrine showing KFC's gratitude, and even the KFC Japan president Takayuki Hanji attended it, offering the now even more non-alive statue sake and some signature KFC chicken. Farewell forever, Colonel. Okay, so this is that weird from the weird and wonderful. A Tokyo police officer in Tokyo has been stealing women's underwear from balconies. Kensuke Tsunoda, a 44-year-old police sergeant, was suspended for 3 months for stealing women's underwear from homes and apartments in Tokyo's Edogawa ward. If that's 1 day of suspension for each panty stolen, that's a lot of panties. Tsunoda has resigned and faces theft charges. According to the police, he stole underwear from the first floor of one house and the first floor balconies of 2 apartments in Edogawa ward. On February 29th, they done caught him red-handed in the act of panty pillaging. There was dozens of women's underwear in Tsunoda's locker at the police station. Police said Tsunoda admitted to the allegation and said he had been embezzling panties for a hot minute. A spokesperson for the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department said his behavior was unbecoming of a police officer, and we will strive to prevent this sort of incident from happening again. You either live long enough to catch the panty thief, or you become one. For this story, I tribute myself to summon Nathan!
I'm back, here to report on a most heinous crime. Shortly before 5 o'clock on the evening of March 13th, a man in his 20s walked into Fukufuku, a collectible trading card shop in Tokyo's Otaku district of Akihabara. After looking over the wares, he asked the staff if he could have one of the cards removed from the showcase so he could inspect it more closely. Staff obliged and handed him the Blue Eyes White Dragon, a legendary dragon that is a powerful engine of destruction, virtually invincible. Very few have faced this awesome creature and lived to tell the tale. But I have lived, and I am here to tell the tale. This was a rare and valuable version of the classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster card, which Fukufuku was selling for 4.98 million yen. Rather than pay the full price or try to haggle the store down, the man grabbed the card and ran off like the coward he is. Once outside the store, he hopped into a car that had been waiting about 100 meters down the road, which then drove away with the thief and, of course, the stolen Blue Eyes White Dragon. Just as your luck will eventually run out if you're running risky strategies in a card game, like playing a Blue Eyes deck, which has no non-staple negates and bricks half the time, trust me, I know, the 2 men involved in the robbery have been found and arrested. On Friday, police announced that they have arrested 2 22-year-old men, Sora Takashino and Kanta Sanmi. Takashino has admitted to being the one who entered the store and stole the card, saying, "I did it to get money for a living and entertainment expenses." Maybe so he could afford some Yu-Gi-Oh cards that, unlike Blue Eyes, are actually competitively viable, like Bonfire or Diabellstar. Look, only someone who legitimately tries to play a Blue Eyes deck would think this scheme was gonna work. The only time I've ever done anything useful with a Blue Eyes deck was summoning Tyrant Dragon against a Trap Tricks player. How are you gonna use a trap hole against a dragon that's immune to traps? Come on, brother. Sanmi, meanwhile, has only admitted to driving the car, but says, "I didn't think that Takashino had stolen anything." Apparently, he would like investigators to believe he's so chill that if an acquaintance just runs down the street and jumps into his car, he has no questions to ask. On the night of the robbery, roughly 3 hours after the incident took place, the men say they sold the stolen Blue Eyes White Dragon off at a different store in Ikebukuro for only 1 million yen, presumably deeply discounting it so they could transfer the stolen property into cash as quickly as possible. It's unclear what happened to the card after that, as well as whether or not the money the men got from the sale has already been spent or not. Though I do have a guess at what happened. The card was probably already bought by someone named Seto Kaiba. With a recent rash of card thefts and smash and grab robberies, merchants may have to rethink how much merchandise access they give to customers pre-purchase. Just like you should rethink playing Blue Eyes if you ever want to get past gold rank on Master Duel. And I'm not flaming, I know this from experience. Painful experience. But don't worry now, I have opted for Fluanderies, because I hate everyone. The Shinjuku Alta building, known for its multi-level shopping center, and the go-to meeting spot for the Shinjuku area will be closing down. It's the one across from the Lion, that's how I knew what it was. Opened in 1979 with its iconic video screen, the building management company posted a notice on its website about the closure. They said, "We would like to express our sincere gratitude to our customers for their continued patronage over the years, and we sincerely apologize for any inconvenience caused by the closure of our business," because no one's going to be able to find their friends in Shinjuku anymore. There wasn't an explanation about the closure, but it's speculated that it's due to renovation plans slated to overhaul the outdated design and layout. Apparently, the building doesn't live up to Shinjuku standards, whatever that is, with all of the new redevelopment projects going on in Shinjuku. It's not certain even whether the building will be demolished or if the Alta name is going to live on, but we can be sure of one thing, it's not going to become a parking lot because this is prime real estate. The closing is scheduled for February 28th, 2025. So if you want to take some memorandum selfies with the building, you still got about a year or so left. And that is all for the news this week. Now, unfortunately, I may not have 4 plants, but I have something better. Come back next week for more news. Woo!
Woo!